Picture waking up one morning to see everyone around you suddenly driving brand new supercars and realizing the only thing separating you from them is a handful of digital coins that you chose to ignore. Here is the crazy part. That nightmare scenario might not be too far-fetched, because today we're going to be talking about why some people believe the real risk isn't buying crypto, it's skipping out on the one very specific coin. So stick around, because by the end of this video you're going to know exactly why no XRP could be the most expensive 2 words in your vocabulary. Plus, the one simple move that I'm making to avoid that regret. So there I was, doom scrolling through X at 2 a.m. You know, that quiet hour when half the planet is asleep and the other half is busy predicting the next market melt-up. Now I spot a fresh tweet from Dom, the kind of Easy A founder who's always hyped about the next big crypto wave. Now he basically says, guys, crypto isn't risky. Missing crypto is risky. Now, I've heard that line a million times, but for some reason it hit differently, right? Maybe because my portfolio's been drifting sideways like a bored shopping cart. Then 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗕, the guy who lives and breathes XRP, jumps in and takes Dom's idea up a notch, right? Not holding XRP is the biggest risk. Now that stops me mid-scroll, the biggest risk. Not the SEC, not market crashes, not rug pulls, just not owning the token at all. That's a pretty wild claim, right? But I can't help but leaning in. See, 𝗕𝗘𝗪 has been on this kind of relentless campaign, practically shaking people by the shoulders. Hold at least 1,000 XRP if you want a shot at the next financial revolution. He even jokes, right, or maybe he's dead serious, that 10,000 XRP could unlock an unformidable kind of financial breakthrough. I can't even say the word, right? Right now, that kind of stash costs, a smudge over $22,000, give or take, a latte here or there. Now, he's basically daring us to look back in 10 years and wish that we hadn't played it safe. And look, I get the skeptics, right? XRP, like that old rock band, that had kind of one massive hit in 2018. Remember, right, when it kind of blasted to its all-time high of $3.84. 7 years later, it's still trying to top the charts. Now, as I record this, it's kind of hanging around that $2.21 level, about 40+% below the glory days. Now, that performance gap is why critics keep calling it a kind of stablecoin with a wink. Stable as in stuck in neutral while the rest of crypto races on by. But here's the twist. Despite that sluggish price action, XRP is still comfortably in the top 5 by market cap. Number 4 to be exact, commanding a hefty $129 billion valuation. That means institutions, whales, and everyday hopefuls are parking real money in there, even if the price chart looks like it's taking a nap. So why the loyalty? Well, for me, it boils down to 3 gut-level points. Call them regret checkpoints. First checkpoint, the psychological safety trap. Everyone loves to feel smart by avoiding perceived danger. But what if playing it safe becomes the danger? Right? Picture early internet days, right? Some folk laughed at email, said it was a fad. Others bought Amazon stock when it looked like an online bookstore novelty. Fast forward, who regrets what? Exactly. Second checkpoint. It's the upside, right? Worst case, XRP flatlines and you're out a kind of dinner budget. Best case, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗕's moon math comes true. Imagine one coin hitting $10,000. Suddenly, that 10,000 coin bag isn't 20 grand. It's 100 million. Is that crazy? Maybe. But if the upside is life-changing and the downside is a minor sting, well, that ratio keeps me awake at night. Third checkpoint, network effect momentum. right? Ripple keeps stacking partners in banking and cross-border payments. Every new corridor is another gear in the machine. Momentum can be invisible until, boom, it's everywhere, and catching up is impossible. Now, I learned that lesson the hard way with Bitcoin back when it cost less than a fancy sandwich. I hesitated, thinking I'd buy the dip. Spoiler, the dip never dipped the way that I wanted, and I ended up chasing candles at twice the price. Now, let's slide into the challenge that most people whisper about: regulation. The SEC's fight loomed over XRP like a storm cloud for years. Plenty of traders bailed, yelling it's way too risky. But guess what? Clouds pass. Now, if clarity arrives and Ripple gets the green light to operate at full throttle, well, that latent demand could fire up like someone flipped a switch. Now, I'm picturing a shaken up soda that can finally be popped. Pressure absolutely everywhere. And here are where the numbers kind of smack me in the face, burn and all. Right? If XRP merely revisits the old high of $3.84, that's a tidy 70-ish% up from today. Now, if it kind of catches up with Standard Charter's kind of polite forecast of $5.50 by 2025, that's more than double. Now, and if Farina's wild $10,000 dream even materializes, look, right? I'm not betting, of course, my rent on that, but I also don't want to be the guy watching from the sidelines, posting salty memes about missed boats. Okay, so let me share a very quick anecdote. A buddy of mine, let's call him Sam, grabbed 5,000 XRP back in 2017 for a couple of $100, then panic sold at 30 cents after the crash. He still kind of brags that he cut his losses early, but every time news drops about Ripple signing another bank, I swear I see a flicker of regret in his eyes. Regret is quite a quiet beast, right? It kind of chews on you slowly over time. And meanwhile, Farina upping the ante, right? His latest push joined the top 10% of the XRP rich list, roughly 2,500 tokens. He says that that's the real VIP lounge when the curtains lift. Now, I can't verify his kind of crystal ball, right? But I do know this. Nobody should ever kind of stood in line for a concert, or at least 4 concert tickets, and thought, wow, wish I'd bought fewer. Okay, now let's address the elephant in the room. Price stagnation. True, right? XRP's been jogging in place while other coins sprint. But markets love to play tug of war between patience and boredom. Right? Ethereum spent years under $100 before exploding. Amazon traded sideways through the .com rubble, right? Now, boring isn't dead. It's often just loading. And there's also another subtle angle, that's transaction volume. At the start of this year, XRP processed over $7 billion in a single day. That's not a ghost chain, right? That's real pipes moving real value. If usage already kind of looks like this while the token price lags, what happens when speculation finally catches up with utility? I'm personally betting that there's going to be fireworks. Let's cue the climax then, the moment that jolts me and every time I kind of think I'm being too optimistic. Now, Farina once tweeted, word for word, a future where one XRP token is worth $10,000 is inevitable. There it is, that word, inevitable. Let's talk about planting a flag on the moon, right, before building the rocket then, right? Whether he's right or he's wrong almost doesn't matter. It's the conviction that reminds me of early Bitcoin people who kind of envisioned, what was going to be, right? Screaming about 100K BTC when the rest of us thought 10K was a fairy tale. We laughed then, but we're not laughing now. So where do I land after all of this? Now, I'm not selling my kidney for XRP. I'm also not ignoring it, right? My middle ground move is quite simple. Accumulate a stack that I can live without day to day, but, would deeply regret not holding if the stars do in fact align. Now, I call it my sleep at night stash, right? Enough to matter, not enough to wreck me. And yes, I'm adding slowly because dollar cost averaging is the grown-up way to feed your FOMO monster without letting it devour your wallet. Oh, and if you're wrestling with the same questions, come and chat about it, right? Our free crypto Discord server is buzzing 24/7 with holders, skeptics, chart junkies, and meme lords all under one roof. There's a link for it down in the description below. Join us and tell me if you think Farina is a genius visionary or the kind of crypto world's ultimate hype man. Okay, so to wrap everything up in a nice little bow, sometimes the loudest risk isn't the roller coaster that you can see. It's the safe looking beach that never moves. Now, XRP might keep snoozing, or it might suddenly sprint, leaving the cautious crew behind eating dust. Now, I'd rather buy a ticket on that slow train now than chase the bullet train later.